Yes, mates, how's it going? My name's Lee. Welcome back to the channel. So the new season is only a few days away now. I've done a little bit of tinkering in the meantime, changed a few things around. Stick around to see who I've picked and why I've chosen those particular types of players. So if you like FPL, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's a nice little click down below. Anyway, let's rock and roll.
Be strong.
I think it's really important to have some strength in depth and actually have some playing bench this season in particular. But my goalkeeper is still going to be Onana. I haven't changed on this for a few days now, and I just really like him as an option. I think he's going to revolutionise the way we play. I think he's just going to be so good this season. We've got decent fixtures in the first five. There are a couple of tough games in there, but things with goalkeepers, you're having them for the long term. I don't think there are too many better keepers out there than Onana. Ideally, I mean, you want someone like Edison, but he's 5.5 and you're not even sure if he's going to play. Like, he didn't play in the Community Shield. Ortega started. If news comes out that Ortega's starting in game week 1, I think it's worth taking the punt on Ortega instead of Ariola and just playing Ortega for a couple of weeks until your main keeper comes in. But for now, really happy with Onana. He's decently owned by about a quarter of the game, and I think that'll continue to rise as the game starts. It might hit about 30%. I think he'll be one of the most popular keepers in the game. Who have you got in goal so far? My first defender is none other than the Ecuadorian powerhouse himself, Estupinan. Owned by half the game. He's an absolute machine. Brighton have got great fixtures in the first three. Luton at home, Wolves away, West Ham at home. They've got a couple of difficult games after that. But the beauty of having someone on the bench like Chilwell is he can come in after that point, and I don't have to make any transfers to do with that. Even Adoja, he's got Brentford in the first game, Man United in the second game. He's got a decent little run after that, Spurs, so it's a nice little option there. It's a nice little bit of rotation there, and I think this is the reason why strength and depth is important. But Stupinan's such a great option. I think Brighton are a good defence. He's so attacking. He gets involved in the attacking play, and it's a real chance for him to get some attacking returns, particularly in those first three games. I think Luton will get blown apart by Brighton. They won't have ever seen anything like the way Brighton play. They're just absolutely ridiculous. Wolves rudderless and potentially managerless by the time the season starts. And West Ham, the just transfer business just doesn't look great. They're a bit all over the place since Declan Rice leaving. And I think Estupinan can capitalise on that and get some attacking returns in those games. So a lot of people have still got John Stones. I'm sticking with Ruben Diaz. I like him as a pick. I feel like this is one of the ones where I can slightly go against the template. I think he's a better goal threat aerialer than John Stones is. And I think he's a bit more nailed in that City team as well. I do feel like there's some rotation risk with John Stones. People forget he only started something like 22 league games last season, and he's never started many more than that. Like he is a rotation risk in that system. People think he's the only one that can do that role, but there are other players that can come in either from the full-back positions and push forward, or they can drop Rodri back and let him push forward. So there are options within that City team. There isn't just John Stones who can do that. Even Rico Lewis can come in and take some minutes away from some White Walker and the rest of the defence and push into that midfield role. But I really like him. I think he's solid. I think he's their best defender. He's the most nailed-on defender in that City team. And now that Gvardiol has been priced up at 5 mil, it'd be interesting to see how he's going to fit in. I think he's going to be more of a left back and take Ake and Akanji's minutes from that side. But Gvardiol at 5 mil will be a game breaker once he starts playing, and I think he'll be in everyone's team in 2 or 3, 4, 5 weeks' time. So definitely one to keep an eye on from that point of view. But City's fixtures are so good at the beginning that I just want a piece of that pie, and is Ruben Diaz the way forward? Could be John Stones, mate, who knows? So I had Saliba in my last draft, and I've still got him in now. I watched the Community Shield yesterday, and Gabriel went off supposedly injured, like it was an unplanned substitution, so I don't know kind of what's going on with that. I haven't heard any news since then. I still think Saliba's the better defender. I think he's the more nailed-on defender, and he's got an equal goal threat to Gabriel. People think Gabriel's got this higher goal threat than Saliba, but if Saliba wasn't injured as much as he was, like, he would have had probably as many goals as Gabriel did. So I still think he's a really, really good option. Arsenal got really good games for the first 5. They've just got Man United at home in the middle. That game could easily be 0-0, and both teams keep a clean sheet anyway. So it's just one of those. I do want a piece of that Arsenal defensive pie, and take your pick, 50-50, Saliba or Gabriel. I don't think the other ones are an option, whether that's Timber, Zinchenko or Ben White. I don't think any of those options. I think it's a toss-up between Saliba and Gabriel. I'm currently on the side of Saliba, but if anything else comes out in the meantime, then I'd still be willing to swap back to Gabriel if anything did come out. So I haven't completely ruled that out. But as of right now, I do quite like the look of Saliba in my team. Another mainstay in my team. I just love him. I think he's an absolute beast. I don't know how you can go without Rashford at the beginning of the season. He's going to play number 9 for us. I think he's just going to be an absolute beast from game week 1. We've got a great run of fixtures. I think Rashford's at the point now when he's fixture proof. I think even against the likes of Spurs and Arsenal, he still poses a threat. He still poses a goal threat, and he can strike at any point. And that's the reason why I've put all his fixtures as green. He's just an absolute monster, especially pushing through in that number 9 position. I'd put him off the left, but he does offer something when he does play number 9. He's just so quick. He's always got the aerial threat coming over the top. So do keep it in mind if you don't have Rashford that he might punish you, because he's a beast, mate. He is a beast. On to the man of the moment, Eberiche Eze. His preseason form has just been unreal. He's got something like 3 goals and 6 assists. He's just an absolute beast. He's getting to the point now where he's talismanic for that Palace side. Now Zaha is left. Now Elise is injured. He is the main man. He's on penalties. He'll be on a lot of set pieces, and he's got a decent run. He's got a decent run of games as well. I think he's getting to the point now when he's almost fixture proof. Even the Arsenal game, I don't see it as a very difficult game for them. I think it's a tough game, but I could still see Eze doing something in that game, and that's the thing with him. I think he will take up the large percentage of the goal involvements to do with Palace, and everything will revolve through Eze. So he's got a nice little run of games. Sheffield United, Arsenal, Brentford, Wolves, Villa in his first 5. And he's expected to get some decent returns in those games as well. So I think he's underlooked as one of the 6.5 million mids. A lot of people going for Matoma, Diaby, Mudryk in some cases as well. And I just think he's been massively overlooked. And I think he's guaranteed to be on my team for game week 1. I think he's just that good. He's just an absolute beast. So even in that tough game, the supposed tough game against Arsenal, I could bring in like a Chilwell in game week 2 and got that rotation, which is what I keep going on about. Your bench is going to be important this season to be able to rotate, particularly in the early weeks. I do think there'll be a lot of rotation throughout the course of the season, so do make sure you've got at least one option. In this case, I can bring Chilwell in for game week 2 and carry on playing Eze for game weeks 3, 4 and 5. Right, mates, I've caved. He's in. I've gone too long without having him in. I just thought I'd try it on and see how it fits, and I've put it on and I like it. I really, really like it actually. So he's in the team for now. He might be in the team for game week 1, and my initial plan is keep Salah up until game week 3, keep all my transfers, and then do a double transfer, Salah and a forward, and bring Kane in. So take Salah down to a cheap mid 4.5 or even a 5 million mid, and bring in Kane that way, and then at least I've got Kane for those nice run of fixtures. So I'm only really looking at Salah for those first 2 games, but the difficulty comes in if he bangs in those first 2 games. Do I really want to sell him for the course of the season? Probably not. He's fixture proof. He's still on penalties, and it's just looking really tough. Like, his predicted points in every single game is over 5.6. So he's expected that he might get returns in every single game. Scary player, mate. And if he goes off, then we're in trouble. And I think you just need to keep in mind, if you don't own him and he does do well, how are you going to get to him? Like, you need to have a plan of these things. If Kane goes off, I've got a plan to get to him if I've got Salah. But if I don't have Salah or Kane, it's going to be really difficult for me to get to either of those 2. I'm going to have to take some hits. I'm going to have to downgrade some massive players. I'm going to have to take multiple transfers and move money around all over the place. But what more is there to say about Salah that we don't already know? Is the king of FPL, and he's been the king for the past few years, and even his poor season last season was still better than 99.9% of players, bar probably Kane and Haaland. He's still a beast. I just hope Liverpool keep playing to his strengths. I don't like he's so far out wide, but even in pre-season he's got something like 2 goals and 6 assists. If he gets 25 assists and 10 goals, I'll take that all day long. You know what I'm saying? So we could be in we could start seeing a different kind of Salah nowadays. I hope not. I still hope we see that goal scoring Salah and running through the middle, but it all depends on how they play and what personnel they're going to use. But either way, I still think he's going to cause teams issues. I still think he's going to be a beast and score a lot of points. I think he's almost guaranteed to get 200 plus points throughout the course of the season, and at some point you're going to own him. Why not own him game week 1? Is he in your team right now? Let me know down below. I feel like my team's slowly starting to take shape now. I feel like I'm making less changes all the time to certain positions. Players like Estupinan Rashford, Saka are just mainstays in the team all the time. No, no matter what I do with the money, I always try and work around those players. He's such a mainstay. He's so good, and even the Community Shield, I just really like him. But the problem with this team now is that I'm not sure how many more Arsenal players I can fit in. But if I am going to have one, it's definitely Saka. In terms of the Arsenal attack, still on penalties. He's got a great run of fixtures. Even the Man United game, because he's at home, he's up against Luke Shaw. He ripped us apart last season, and I think he'll do the same again this season. And if he goes in the way he's going to get either close to 200 points or plus 200 points over the course of the season. So he might just be a mainstay from the team all season long. We never sold him last season. We all should have kept all the Arsenal boys, but everybody sold him, and that's just one of those lesson learned. Right, mates, and I know what you're thinking. Hear me out, Garnacho, 5 million. Rashford's going to play number 9. I'm 90% sure Garnacho's going to play left wing. I only need him for Wolves, and then Chilwell can come in. So I only need him for that one game, and I'm quite happy to kind of bin him off for the rest of that. I do think he'll play against Forest as well, so if I need him for that, then there's always a chance that he does that as well. So I still think even if I play him on the bench, I think he'll come on in most games, regardless if he doesn't start. So he's always an option off the bench. And like I keep saying about having a playing bench, I just think it's important to have some options within there. Really, really like him as a player. He's looked really dangerous in pre-season. Probably one of our better players in pre-season. Only owned by 2.4% of the game. 5 mil, just above the lowest price in the midfielder range. The problem I've got here is because I've got Salah, I've got a lot of money tied up in 2 players because I've obviously got Haaland as well. And I don't want to sell Rashford, I don't want to sell Saka, I don't want to sell a Stupinan. I want a Man City defender, I want an Arsenal defender. So there's only maybe 2 or 3 spots when I can start moving some things around. And if I drop Garnacho down to a 4.5 million mid to like a Nakamba, then that means I'm forced to play Chilwell or Udogie from game week 1. Whereas at least if I put a little bit more money into it, then at least I've got some options moving forward with someone like a Garnacho. I don't see a lot of people kind of going on him or liking the pick, but I think he's got a really big season for us. I really, really rate him. I think he's our backup left winger, so when Rashford does play up front, I think Garnacho will start. And even if not, I can see Garnacho playing all across the front line. I can see Rashford doing the same, and even Højlund at times as well. I can see Højlund coming off the left, but yeah, don't sleep on him, mate. He is a beast, and if we do get more news, I mean, I'm pretty confident he's going to play game week 1. But if we do get news that he is guaranteed to start game week 1, I'd say we should consider looking at someone like a Garnacho. He could come in and absolutely rip them apart for 1 week, and then you'd have to play him again for the rest of the season. But have a think about it. Are you considering a differential player? Who is your most differential player in your team right now? Have you got anyone less than 5% owned? Someone like Garnacho? Let me know down below. I actually really, really want Watkins, but having Salah in, I just can't afford to have Watkins as well as Haaland up front. And I have to go for someone like a João Pedro, and this is where I keep saying again about having that bench that plays. If anything comes out that João Pedro might not play in game week 2 or 3, then at least I've got other players to come in. So I'm taking a risk by selecting João Pedro, but at least I've got some backup plans in place to go along with that. But regardless, if he plays, I think he's going to be a real danger in the league, and it looks like he's on penalties for them as well. Same as a Stupinan, he's got 3 really good games in a row in Luton, Wolves and West Ham, and if he gets 2 starts out of that, I'd probably take that. But hopefully we get some news that is a bit more nailed on than that. But the way Brighton are going now, they've got that many attackers. They're on the verge of signing Kudus from Ajax, so they've got like Solly March, Welbeck, Ferguson, Matoma, João Pedro, all vying for like the same 2 or 3 spots, and it's just difficult to kind of pin down like which one's actually going to start. That's the reason why I don't have Matoma anymore. I just don't know who's going to play, and Matoma's not played as many minutes as other players, and João Pedro has. Like I said, it looks like he's on penalties, so that he's got that going for him at least. And this is where I'm trying to focus on my attention, like how many penalty takers can I get in my team? So like we've already got Eze, Salah, Saka, João Pedro. How many more can I fit in? I do a downgrade of Rashford, someone like a Bruno, and then I've got full complement of like 5 or 6 there. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a definite option for me there. But I really like João Pedro as a pick. And last but not least, Mr. Obvious himself, Erling Haaland. Still captain as of right now. Didn't look great in the Community Shield. He looked off the pace. He didn't look very involved. I heard the commentator say this is now 6 games in a row that he hasn't scored for City. And some of those were finals and the Titan Cager, but I still think he'll come good beginning of the season up against Burnley. I can see them scoring 3 or 4 past Burnley and Hound, maybe even getting a double in that game, but they do play a different competition. Is the Club World Cup before game week 2 or just after game week 2? I can't remember the exact date. And if there's any talk of him not being involved in game week 2 or 3 because of that, then at least I've got someone like Salah in the shadows, lurking in the shadows, to be my second captain. So like it is one of those, and that's the reason why I've gone for Salah right now. Like I think he complements the team quite well. He complements it from a price point of view, a structure point of view, and it allows me to easily get to Kane in game week 3 if that's the route I want to go down. So it just gives me a bit more flexibility in my team, and that's the reason why I've kind of chosen the players that I've chosen. But I am still open to some changes, and I'm hoping at the end of pre-season is going to help. I'm hoping we get some news before game week 1 of this player starting or that player starting, like whether that's like a Garnacho or some other player from any team. I am still open to changing a few things, and I might even downgrade some like an Onana to a Pickford, give me that little bit of extra money, just so I can play around with some stuff. But as of right now, this is the team I've chosen. I'm relatively happy with it, but I will probably change 50% of it before game week 1. Right, mates, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. So today we went for my latest draft for game week 1. I've changed a couple of things around. I'm just trying on the Salah hat for now. See how it goes. I'm going for that 2 premium setup. Offers me a lot of flexibility. It's great from a price point of view, and I've got a lot of different avenues that I can navigate down. If I don't have Kane or Salah, and I go with this expensive midfield, it's very difficult. Like, it's quite restrictive in being able to get to those 2 different price points. So I think having that flexibility is going to be quite important for me, and I do quite like the way it looks right now. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, tell your mum, tell your dog, tell your postman about me. Pretty please. Have a good day. Peace and love.